at this very moment when the Great Toronto Area is facing this market correction period, should people still invest now?
Yes, they should. So I'll tell you why. Let's say you have a property that has $100 negative cash flow. End of the year, you're out $1,200. In 10 years, you're out $12,000. So let me ask you, anybody who buys a property today, do they feel confident that their property will go up in value by $12,000 in 10 years?
你而家收睇嘅係加拿大財經一號電視台。
嘉國地產發展趨勢，近期樓市最新動態，地產行業權威發布，眾多專家分析點評，盡在置業加國。
Hello everyone, welcome to Real Estate Canada. Today's Great Toronto Area is facing a market correction period. So a lot of people may ask, should we still buy property as investment? I think we may get a lot of answers for no, because the price is dropping compared to 2 months ago. But today, we got a different answer. Yes, you can invest. Hello, Samir.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, welcome to our studio.
Thank you for having me.
It is your first time joining us, so why don't you introduce yourself to our audience first?
Sure. My name is Samir Kumar, and I'm a real estate salesperson with Remax About Town in Oakville. And I specialize in real estate investments in Toronto.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about investment,
Yes.
real estate investment in Toronto. So investors right now are paranoid, right?
Sure.
People are afraid that there might be a market crash, then their cash flow property is going to be affected by it, and they could lose a lot for that. So at this very moment when the Great Toronto Area is facing this market correction period, should people still invest now?
Yes, they should. So I'll tell you why. People who invest in real estate should not be investing in real estate for short term. Real estate investments are long-term investments. And what every Toronto investor must realize is that you have to look at who is driving the market and where the market is going. The correction that has happened in the city is not that the whole market has gone down. So as I said, I specialize in downtown Toronto. In Toronto, let's say if I'm looking at a specific location, let's say Front and Spadina. In Front and Spadina, there's 5 buildings. Well, the market is not the same for all those 5 buildings.
Correct.
The market is different for each and every building. And that's why when you're investing in Toronto, you have to really know that every building is its own neighborhood. Because every building has its own builder, has a track record, has a track record of maintenance. Every builder builds with a certain quality in mind. Now, with a certain quality in mind comes a certain price point. With a certain price point comes a certain lease rate. And a certain lease rate will attract a certain demographic of tenants. So, right now, the difference is that in February, March, let's say, when the market was very hot, everything was selling, right? You could put a dirty shoe on a condo and say, hey, this is for sale, and you get multiple offers. So that has changed. So the good properties are still selling well. The ones that were not good are now facing a reduction in price.
So when we're talking about investment, then there's a lot of things you should to consider, right? It's not
Yes.
only the market price. There's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of factors to affect it.
Exactly. So when you're investing in Toronto, don't just go by, oh, it's close to the CN Tower. Oh, it's close to Rogers Center, it's close to Union Station. That's not enough. You have to know, first of all, who built this building. Who was the builder? Every builder has a track record. And real estate agents who specialize in Toronto know this. Again, as I get more into the core of Toronto, my quality of tenants changes.
That's right.
Because the best jobs are in the core. So somebody who's got a great job is willing to pay high rent. Why? They want to be close to work. If you're working 50, 60 hours a week, the last thing you want to do is jump on the train and commute another hour. So they are the clients, the tenants who will pay a good rent. And as investors, you have to focus on the core.
So you're talking about that when people are thinking to buy investment properties, they should not only thinking about the price, but thinking about the market as a whole, right?
Exactly.
So even though we are facing a market crash, let's say, we don't want it to happen, but even though we have a market crash, then people don't want to buy any properties. They will rent. Then it won't affect the renting, like cash flow property, right?
Very true. There's another few points that investors should understand about the market. So what's happening in Toronto is that, I've been living in Toronto since 1987, and I have seen a massive change in Toronto. And the change actually is in the mindset of people who are living in Toronto. So the Asian cultures, generally, if you have money, well, first thing to do is buy a property for their family.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Rather than before buying a fancy car, having a fancy lifestyle, first thing we want to do is have shelter.
Yeah.
Once we have a shelter, we want to have more security. So with more security, all Asian cultures have always invested in real estate. Okay? Because unlike a stock, let's say today my market goes down a bit. If I bought something for $525, let's say it's worth $475, I can still rent it.
Yeah.
If it's a stock, and the company goes, hello, we're done, we're going home.
We want something asset.
Physical
asset.
Exactly, because it has longevity. Like I can rent it. If the market is down today, my rent might go down $100, but it doesn't mean that I cannot rent it. So when you talk about cash flow, you can look at, I have a $50 or $100 negative cash flow today. Let's say you have a property that has a $100 negative cash flow. End of the year, you're out $1,200. In 10 years, you're out $12,000. So let me ask you, anybody who buys a property today, do they feel confident that their property will go up in value by $12,000 in 10 years? I'm sure they do. So keep investing. Now is the time to invest more. Because when there's uncertainty in the market, those poor buyers who could not buy before are now completely confused. They're not going to buy. So this is a golden opportunity for investors to hammer the market and buy as much as you can. But think long term. This flip game those are not real investors. This is a long-term play. Build a portfolio, build an asset for your family because right now there's a lot of investors who have a lot of money. We have a lot of opportunity to buy property. But if you look at cities like New York, where there's a lot of people with a lot of money, they do not have the opportunity to buy. And that will happen in Toronto. I don't know when, but it will happen.
Okay, about 2 months ago, Ontario introduced this rent control policy, right?
Yes.
So people are aware that this play a big impact on the investment property, the cash flow properties.
Yes.
So what kind of impact does it leave to the cash flow properties?
So I'm very passionate about this new rule that has come in. And our premier has done this because she thinks she's going to help tenants. Actually, as time goes on, this will end up benefiting landlords more, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, wow.
So people think that landlords get into real estate to gouge tenants. No, we don't. We want someone to pay us market rent, take care of the property, not smash the appliances, not smash the floors, not put holes in the wall. Just treat it like your home and pay me my rent on time. If somebody's paying $1,800 today, I'm not saying, I'm going to increase this guy's rent by $500 next year. There is no investor in the market like that. So what's going to happen now is, because investors know that I can only increase rent by, let's say, 1.8% this year, 1.5% next year, okay? What will actually happen is, let's say if my market rent is supposed to be $2,000, investors will start asking more rent up front. They will ask, no, I want $2,150, I want $2,000. Because they know, if I bring it on the market, if my tenant stays on, my increase is not there. So what will happen is that tenants who are in a lease, they will think 10 times before they give notice to a landlord, hi, I'd like to vacate. Because they know, I have a lease now, my landlord can only increase my rent by 1.8 to 1.5% next year. Why will I move? What does that do for the investor? He does not have to bring that property on the market again.
So it's about sustainability, right?
Exactly. So, generally when investors bring a property on the market for lease, they lose 1 month's rent to agents like me, right? But now they won't have to. So yeah, your rent amount of increase will go down, but you will also not bring a property on the market every year for rent.
So it actually creates a safe net.
Exactly.
For the landlords.
Exactly, because now your tenants will think 2 times before.
Yeah.
If I give my landlord a notice, if I go out,
I may never find this price.
I may never find this price, and I'm going to pay a higher price for sure. So I think it will benefit landlords in the longer run than tenants. We feel very confident that Toronto has good jobs. The people who are renting in Toronto, they don't have a mindset to buy. Like the younger population from like 26 to let's say 40, 45, they have no urgency to buy. They're very happy renting because as investors, what we are providing them in Toronto is a great lifestyle. So if, let's say Jackie's an investor and Samir is like, Jackie, I like living on King Street. King Street's got a lot of great restaurants. At night I can go to a lot of good bars and pubs, and I'm very close to work. As long as you hold the property, I'll keep paying you rent. How can Jackie not be confident of investing in real estate? Because she has a tenant like me who, although has a great job, great credit, has no inclination to save money to buy a property.
Now you convinced us like a lot for this role.
It's not me,
Investment
actually.
thing.
As a person living in Toronto, since my early teens, I just think people's mindset has changed. Price of properties went up so much that a lot of young people said, well, I can't buy anyways, so why stress over it? I might as well enjoy my life. And this gave some investors a great opportunity to attract really good people. These are, like for example, in our cultures, we think a person who's renting is somebody who
Liars.
is a liar, doesn't have a job, is dirty, right? That's not the case.
Yeah.
When we get applications for tenants, you got to see these people. They're making $80,000, $90,000 a year. Their credit scores are like 700 to 800. Young professionals, they're great tenants.
They choose this style.
They choose this lifestyle.
Yeah.
I don't know who's right or wrong. As investors, are we wrong who are working hard and saving money to buy a property? Or are they wrong who are enjoying life every day and not worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know.
Now we have talked about all of these benefits about these cash flow properties. Then where can we find them in Toronto?
So my investors, since we started investing in Toronto, have always focused, so we first started focusing on, as every investor, location. And for a location, we always wanted to be as close to the hospitals and the banks. And our thinking was that if there's no jobs out there, market crashes, war comes to an end, two things will never go out of the market. One is the hospitals, second is the banks. There will always be people working there. And generally, if you got a job at a bank or a hospital, you're doing okay. You have to be a responsible person. So those people are great tenants. As time went on, we started focusing on the quality of tenant. So we wanted young professionals, under the age of 40, 45, who don't have an inclination to buy, have good jobs. And now we're focusing on lifestyle. So the Toronto builders are the people who really know the market. So when people say, oh, builders, they're building at such high prices, they have confidence. When they're building and asking $1,000, $900 per square foot, they're not putting tens of millions of dollars at risk, not thinking that they can not sell it. They know they're going to sell it because investors want to buy. The reason why investors want to buy is because to lease a property in Toronto is so easy.
Well, we have a lot of real estate agents come to the studio talking about like you should buy condo or like condos close to the universities. But this is not on your list.
No.
Why?
Because students don't make money. I want people who make money. I don't want some young kid whose parents are giving them money to pay rent. Because they have to answer to the parents. I want somebody who's got a great job, don't have to answer to their parents, and they're spending their own money. Because actually, in Toronto, a lot of young people who live in Toronto are not from Toronto, so they're moving from like smaller cities from the outskirts. Their dream is to come to Toronto and be in an area that provides them this great lifestyle. It's like, oh wow, I have all these great restaurants, these bars. I work at KPMG, Deloitte, Grant Thornton, all these great companies, right? I make good money. They're enjoying life. So why would I go near universities? I want where people have their own money to spend.
That's a very interesting point.
Thank you.
Well, the last question we want to ask you is what kind of top things people should be aware before they buy investment properties?
So it's very simple, actually. And every investor should make a little checklist. The checklist, number one thing when you're buying a condo investment is the builder. Number two, they should ask their real estate agent, I want you to give me what is happening to the maintenance of this property for the last 5 years. Now you know how the building is managed. Okay? Number three you want to ask them is, I want you to tell me what's happening to their lease rate, and I want you to tell me by square foot bracket. So what is a 5 to 599 square foot condo leasing for in this building? A 6 to 699? A one bedroom plus den, two bedroom plus den. You need to know everything. You could be buying a one bedroom, you could be buying a two bedroom, but you need to look at the whole spectrum. Because what that will do is tell you, see, like some people say, oh, Samir, I want to buy a two bedroom. I say, why? Oh, because I have the money. Well, so what? Why don't you buy something that is the most attractive unit in this building? And for that you need stats. So you got to do a little bit of homework, but you can. That's two. And the third would be is you look at pricing. How many properties come on the market in this building? Because there's a lot of properties coming on the market.
Yeah.
That tells you something, right? If there's way too much turnover, then that's not where I would put my money. I want to put my money where it is hard to get a unit. Because if it's hard to get today, it'll be very, very easy to sell if I was exiting the market 5, 10, 15 years down the road.
So it's still about long-term thinking, right?
100%, right? Like eventually, everybody, like the real estate game is like a monopoly board, right? New players come on the board and they leave. But you have to look at, one day you are going to sell this property, so you have to look at resellability as well.
Thank you so much, Samir,
My
for
pleasure.
joining us. Yeah, it's a very interesting conversation, so we really enjoyed it.
Well, my pleasure. I mean, the whole world knows that the Asian community is huge in investments. So it's my pleasure to actually come and give, a Toronto kid's perspective on real estate investments. I think you guys are driving the market, and I'd like to be of service to your community as well, if I could.
Well, we are looking forward to bring you back sometime later.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you
so
Thank
much.
you so much.
嘉国地产发展趋势，近期楼市最新动态，地产行业权威发布，众多专家分析点评，尽在置业家国。